Okay, everyone, grab your goal or reward, and on the back side it has the top producer declarations and stand, and we'll do them all together. I'll cue you when to get in. Follow my voice so we're all in the same time zone, if you know what I mean, okay? All right, so we'll do it after 3. 1, 2, 3. As a top producer, I have a great attitude. As a top producer, I book lots of appointments. As a top producer, I generate a ton of leads. As a top producer, I'm a powerful presenter. As a top producer, I show sellers how to pick the right price. As a top producer, I have important information for our clients. As a top producer, I have an awesome business plan. As a top producer, I manage my time effectively. And as a top producer, I make my clients number one goal, my number one goal. Give yourself a hand. Good job. So, just like we're going to do that after our stats each week. And remember, they're great affirmations. Take a look at it again. First one is that it says what?
I have a great attitude.
I have a great attitude. What's the second part say?
I book
lots of appointments. The third one?
I generate a lot
I
of
generate
leads.
tons of leads. And next?
I'm a powerful
I'm a
presenter.
powerful presenter. And the next one?
I show sellers how to pick the right price.
price. And the next one?
I have important information.
Important information, objection handling techniques.
For my
And what's
clients.
next?
I have an awesome business
And
plan.
my business plan is awesome, and
I manage my time effectively.
Time management. And then it always comes back to, I need to make my clients' number one goal my number one goal. I need to focus what's important to them, not what's important to me. They should be close to the same though. You know, what's the main reason that you do an open house? Most realtors say to get leads, and you ask the seller, why do you want me to do an open house? The seller says, I want you to
Sell the house.
sell it. If you did sell it, would you be okay with it?
Yes.
Or would you say, oh no, I don't want to sell it, I want to get leads? You know, some people are like that. They just want to get every listing they can just to get leads. They don't care if they sell. It's called buying a listing. So we got to make our clients' number one goal our number one goal, right? All the time, right? So, let's see, where was I here? What page were we on?
Lesson
Oh, 7 keys to proactive prospecting. So, I would start early if I could, if I were you. That's a top producer tip. Okay. If you want to go into your office around 9 a.m. and by then, let's say you've already worked out, you already had breakfast, might be the best thing to do as a top producing realtor. I tried working out at 4:30 when I got busy, and it affected my workouts. Not my workouts, but to go and work out, because there was always something coming up. So I started going to the gym at 6 a.m. when I was selling a lot. I had a workout partner. I got home by 8, had something to eat, got into the office by 9, and then you might want to do administration and paperwork from 9 to 10. If you want to do workouts later and it's working for you, then maybe you go to the office an extra hour earlier, because the best time to get paperwork done as a top producer is first thing in the morning. It's the best time. So get your workout done in the morning is what I recommend. Have your good breakfast, get into the office, get all your paperwork out of the way, and 10 o'clock sharp, have callback time or prospecting time. Make a note of that. That's what I recommend. So I'm actually going to give you a little bit of your schedule right now, what I recommend as a top producer. And it doesn't mean you have to do it this way. It just means that, you know, I mean, if you're saying one day, you know I have something late one night, so I'm not going to start till noon, then instead of a 9 to 5 scheduling, you might have 12 to 8. But you can figure all that out, can you?
Yes.
I can just give you kind of the order. You know, get your paperwork out of the way, then have callback time or prospecting time, or both. Don't do it more than an hour unless you have to return more calls. I would say keep it down to 30 to 40 minutes
For callback?
for well, not just callback, but proactive prospecting. Okay. Now callback you should do until you're done. If you got if you had 30 people call you, I'd call them back. Would you agree?
Yes.
You're not going to have 30 people call you by first thing in the morning, even when you're selling, you know, making $500,000 a year. You might have 15 though, because it could be some deals you're following up on and lawyers, and then there could be some realtors calling, and who knows, right? Point is that 10 o'clock would be your first callback time, and if you're new, you won't have anyone to call back. You have to be proactive, and you have to make some calls to your sphere of contacts. I'm going to tell you what to say if you get voicemail as well. A couple other tips also, okay? But start early. When you are actually going to prospect, last week I said, call somebody and introduce yourself and ask them if they want to sell. Remember that? try this instead. Here's a really good tip, and you can write down the dialogue. Instead of asking people if they want to sell, let them know you just want to make sure they're not thinking of selling. Write that one down. Okay? It's called eliminate instead. So I was just calling to make sure you are what? Not thinking of selling. I just came by and door knock on their house, right? I just came by to make sure you're what? Not thinking of selling. Okay, let me make sure you've got this. Say it to the person across the table. I just came by to make sure you're not thinking of selling. Go ahead and say it.
I just came by to see you.
To make sure
You're not selling.
So, did you write it down, word for word? I just came by to make sure you're not thinking of selling. Don't overact like me, but you still use the words. I just came by to make sure you're not thinking of selling, are you? And they're like, what? It's almost like they never heard this one before. It's almost like it's refreshing to them in a sense. And it actually kind of is an icebreaker in a way. It's the weirdest thing. Go try it. I just came by to make sure you're not thinking of selling, are you? And they're like, no. And they smile. Right? Would you like that if it just changes the tone a bit?
Yes.
Yeah, who's going to use it? Okay? Yeah. So, I'm just calling to make sure you're not thinking of selling, are you? And they're like, no, I'm not actually. And a little chuckle here. Or, Arbez, you're door knocking right now. Someone, R2, I just came by to make sure you're not thinking of selling. They go, no, I'm not. Why? Well, I just listed a house down the street. I just wanted to came by and let everybody know about it, see if they're interested, or if they have any questions about real estate. It just sets that tone. It's amazing the little things that I teach you. If you do all of them, if you could commit to saying, I'm taking notes on every little thing Dwayne says, and I'm going to make sure I do everything I can possibly and listen to the audio tracks so that I start doing it without thinking, you're going to make so much money. I mean, you're going to make it fast. Right now. Okay? Our stats aren't too bad. I want to hit over 2 for both teams every week. So we're going to keep pushing to be more effective, more efficient, and do more in the beginning especially. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
Because then it's going to be a lot of, we had a 2-month course. I mean, today, I guess we don't have 2 months left.
No.
It's, when I start lesson 1 and then by the time you get to lesson 8, it's only 7 weeks. So the 8th week is after each lesson, like you have lesson 1 and then you have a week, lesson 2 and then a week, lesson 3 and a week, and lesson 8 and then a week. So your 8th week finishing the program will be on December 14th, but there won't be a class on the 14th, right? Last class is when? December 7th, I think. Or is it the 8th?
8.
Okay, so don't sell, eliminate. These are suggestions, high recommendations maybe. Target high turnover areas, so we were talking about where to door knock, where to make calls, where to try to get listings. High turnover is good, or the average sale price might be the same thing, sorta, I guess. You may have a neighborhood that the price is a little lower than the average sale price, that still is decent neighborhood. You don't want to get there's some rougher areas. It's a little tough to do real estate there sometimes. You're going to constantly getting the investors calling you and they're lowballing and all that kind of stuff. If you get where, it's, like you said, the price is about $450 in Calgary, and you get list a house at $425, I mean, you're going to get some pretty good leads off of that and probably sell it. Okay. The next thing is smile even when you're on the phone. And when I say have a conversation, it's basically one-sided if you want to make a note of that. It's you getting them to talk. So we will call it the conversation still, but I need to be clear on something, gang. It's not a two-way conversation. It's a question on your end, they talk, the conversation side of it, or they talk, and then you have an opportunity to close as soon as they have a question. Okay, so far today I counted, I think there was 4 closes you missed. So can I get 4 cha-chings?
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Did you guys forget about that from last week? Yeah?
I remember the cha-ching, but I forgot the word.
Close.
Oh, I know.
Cha-ching. Because every time you're closing,
Cha-ching.
you're making some
Money.
money. Yeah. Yeah, just some goofy stuff we gotta have.
Cha-ching.
Okay, but smile. You're on the phone. I used to actually, like before when I got into real estate, we did have cell phones. Okay, it's a long time ago, but my cell phone was pretty big in 1997. And then, no, but 97, they got a little smaller. They were not bad. It was 93 when I got my first one. It was like a suitcase,
Like
you
a
put it on the
brick.
table, right? It was about this tall. Anybody ever had one of those?
No.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody, do you ever see what they look like?
Oh, yeah.
No, you never seen them? They were literally this big. Sometimes you could use two hands,
Yeah.
and they had that antenna on top.
Antenna, yeah.
Yeah.
I heard they're like expensive though, aren't they?
Yeah, they were, about $1,000 or
Yeah.
something.
Back then.
In
Yeah.
93. But my car phone, my uncle's car phone in '86 was pretty cool. It was right here, and it was 1986. And that actually, I didn't think it would work, because we didn't have cell phones back then, but they worked great. It's a car phone.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Painters.
He had a Oldsmobile 88,
Yeah.
1986. I mean, it had everything, and it had a car phone. It was so cool. And that's 86.
Used to be.
I don't know why I said that. Oh, I know why I said it. When you're on the phone, make sure you what?
Smile.
Smile. They can't see you, but when you smile, there's something else going on. And have that conversation where you just, I just called to make sure you're not thinking of selling, are you? And they react a certain way, and they'll probably still say no, we're not. And they say, well, the reason I came by, because we always give a reason after we kind of get this no out of the way. Okay, I hope you can pick that up right now, because we're going to show it again. They always say no, so let's just get the no out of the way. Okay? And so we have to get past our no's. Do you want to sell? They say what?
No.
Okay, well, the reason I came by, or the reason I called, is because, and if you don't have a listing to sell, maybe you came by because you're just looking for more listings. Or maybe you have a buyer, or maybe whatever. Okay, but we're going to give you a list of reasons. In fact, I'm going to say this later, but I want to say it now so that you're ready for it. When you have a callback area, everybody has an office, either here at the office or at home or both, yes?
Yes.
Okay, and if I say have callback time, then you want to get to that office to make your calls and be prepared. And I'm going to give you certain tools that you have to stay on track. So if you're one of the people that maybe doesn't take my advice and you're on your way to your vehicle and the phone rings, you don't know who it is, but you answer it, you're going to make way less money. Like, I'm talking 10 times less easy. I would look at it and go, well, let us see if they leave a message. I wouldn't answer it. I'm telling you, don't do it. Or I've seen people where they put their phone between them and the sellers, and they say, I got my phone here just in case. And the phone rings when they're doing a listing appointment. What do you think the sellers think? Right? But not just that. You're not prepared to handle the lead right now.
Yes.
You need to be prepared. And where you're going to be prepared is your desk. Like I have a kind of a corner desk type thing. Anybody have one of those?
Yeah.
Okay. Computer's here. And then I have a phone here. I didn't have a landline for almost 10 years, and I went and got one last year. Guess how much it costs per month?
$10.
15. Actually, it's 18 with GST and stuff.
Okay.
But what a difference having that, because they don't, anyways, we'll get into that later. But even if you have your cell phone, you're going to have your prospecting track on the wall, the dialogue to close the conversation right beside it. You're going to have your reasons for calling people taped to your desk, your fair trade items here. You're going to have a stack of call forms over here. You're going to have your listing presentation, your buyer presentation handy, and you're going to have your folders. Your desk is going to be all set up for business, open for business. What do you think of that?
Sounds
Great.
good.
Isn't that great?
Great.
Yeah.
And I hope none of you do what I've seen with some of my past students. Very few of them, but some of them don't even set themselves up. And then I do a one-on-one with them if they have their strikes, and then I say, okay, let's go over your desk setup to make sure you got it. And they're like, well, I got them all here somewhere, and they're kind of, and you can tell that's why they're not making any money. They're not pre-scheduling their week in advance. They don't have their tools already, and they're just kind of hoping it works out, and it won't. So, smile and have a conversation when you talk to people. Make sure you're organized. And when you get voicemail, have you ever phoned and you get voicemail?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, before you phone, I want you to understand something. If you phone somebody, sometimes they screen their calls just like I do. Okay? So I want you to write this down. If you call somebody and you get voicemail, I want you to hang up and call back right away. It's called the two-call approach. It's called the what?
Two-call approach.
Okay. You guys make sure you write this down and try it. Has anybody ever done this here? It works, doesn't it? Not all the time, but it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do again? You call. If it's voicemail, what do you do?
Hang up and call.
Hang up and what?
Call again.
Call right back. Call again right away. It's called the what?
Two-call approach.
Two-call approach. Okay? I've had a lot of top producers mention this over the years, and I've done it myself. And you just, hi, you've reached, and you just hang up and just go, or hang up your cell phone and just push redial, and then they answer. Not all the time, but more. Now, if they don't answer and you get voicemail the second time, I want you to say that when you call. You say, hi, this is, and say your name. I have a what?
Real estate matter.
Real estate matter to discuss with you. When it's convenient, call me back. So I want to give you the words exactly to say, and about 20%, maybe 10 at first, but about 20% of the people that you leave this message for will call you back. How many of you would like that? Another tip, don't ever leave details on a voicemail. Ever. I was just calling to see if you want to sell. I was calling because you referred to me. Whatever it is, don't say any of that stuff. None of it. Just call back, right? You say, hello, this is Arbez with, you're with AMG? No?
Real estate company.
Real estate company. And I'm with TR, whatever, and I have a real estate matter to discuss with you. So let's put the words down on paper, okay? So say, hi, this is, and put your name. Say, I have a real estate matter to discuss with you. I have a real estate matter to discuss with you. When it's convenient, please call me back. When it's convenient, please call me back at 780, no, you should put your own phone number. And then end with, thank you, have a great day. So I'm going to say it again. And the words I'm giving you, even if you change the thank you or have a good day, the results change. I don't know why. I've been teaching it for 20 years. So if you do it exact, you will get between 10 to 20% return. So let me say it again. You all wrote it down? Mm-hmm. Hi, this is, I have a real estate matter to discuss with you. When it's convenient, please call me back at 403 whatever. Thank you, and have a great day. And there's a voice inflection has to be good too. I had one person who was saying it right, but they sounded like they were interrogating somebody or something. And they said, nobody's calling me back. I said, well, listen how your voice is. You got to sound approachable. So again, this is a little thing, especially when you heard it for the first time. You think, yeah, it doesn't seem like a big deal. Well, when it starts working for you, it is a big deal. Would you agree?
Yes.
And I'll still have somebody, even in a small group like this, somebody, next week, you'll hear a star story. I said the real estate matter on the thing, and the guy called me back. I couldn't believe it. I actually got an appointment out of it. And there'll be somebody else sitting here that will say, I left messages, I didn't say that because I didn't think it was a big deal. But it works. But again, how much? Did I say 100% of the time? No, it's only about 20% that they will call back. Now, I'll tell you what to say when they call back. How's that sound?
Yes.
Now I didn't even mention that. Some of you may have been thinking it, saying, oh yeah, what do I do if they call back? Well, let's take it one step at a time. First, I wanted to tell you what to say first. Now they call back. So here's the thing. This is why I loved prospecting between 10 and 11 every morning. It got so good, and so many people were calling me back that when I was calling, I was going, voicemail. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
I was hoping for what?
Voicemail.
Yeah, instead of talking to somebody, because I just wanted to reach out to the neighbors on a listing or something like that, right? And so I'd say, I have a real estate matter, call me back. And later in the day, 20 or 30% call me back. Now, I'll just let you write this down in point form, okay? But this is exactly what you say as soon as they call back. Now, if they call you back and you're busy, that's a good thing because they're going to get your voicemail. And what do you think they're going to say? They're going to say, yeah, you called earlier about a voice matter, real estate matter. My name is Joe, and you can call me back when you have a chance. I'm just curious what it's about. They're more curious of what it's about, right? So now you got their name and their number. Isn't that great? Yes. They're actually their name. And you'll write down the name, and then you'll call them back. And you'll say, hey, Joe, it's Dwayne. And the first thing you do is thank them for calling you. That's number one, okay? Thank them. So you say, thank you for calling me. And then the next part is to tell them it was really important you got a hold of them. That's the second thing. Thank you for calling me back. It was really important I got a hold of you. Now, when you phone, you don't say I have an important real estate matter, unless it's a FSBO. So there's another thing I'll tell you later today about that. You just say I have a real estate matter. When they call back, you go, thanks for calling me back. It was really important I got a hold of you. And you're just going to tell them the reason you called them in the first place. And we're going to give you all the reasons this afternoon. Sounds good? So one reason I just wanted to, thanks for calling me back. It was really important. I got a hold of you, meaning it's important to you. because I just listed a property, or I have a buyer and I'm looking, or I'm looking for more inventory in the neighborhood, would you consider, you know, or I'm called to make sure you're not thinking of selling, or, you know, anything like that, right? So we'll get into the reasons a little later. So just, again, you know, you dial, let's say you get some numbers, I don't know where, you get different ways you can get numbers. Maybe it's an input form, you know, from a pay-per-click. You call, voicemail, what do you do?
Leave a voice.
Hang up, right?
Call back.
Yeah, call right back. Now you get voicemail again, now what do you do?
Leave a message.
Yeah, you say, I have a real estate matter.
matter.
When it's convenient, call me back. And then 10 minutes later, they call back. Now you may be at your desk and you may recognize the number and you might answer it because you're ready, you're prepared. It's all good, right? So they call and you go, hello, Dwayne here, right? Or you might just say, hello, ABC Realty. Your company name's better because sometimes you have to use names to trade names. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But you know, what can I help you? Yeah, you just called and said you had a real estate matter. I'm just curious what it is. What's the first thing you do?
Thank them.
Thank them, right? So you say, thanks for calling me back. It was really important I got a hold of you because we just listed, or I wanted to make sure, or we're looking for a, or I have a, whatever, one of these things. Does that make sense?
Yes.
See, you can't remember all that stuff. I don't care if you've been in real estate 10 years and you walk out of a listing and you just want to answer the phone because you don't know who it is and you're curious and you try to do what I just said, you'll mess it up every time,
Very true.
right? So, the next thing is we need to follow the process when we're talking to people. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go over the process and we'll probably role play it after lunch, but oh, here, book your prospecting time in advance. I mentioned that earlier, so book it like an appointment. Guess what the most important of the day is for you? You might say lunchtime. You might say, and everything's important. How you do one thing is how you do everything. But if I was to say one that has a little more importance, it's your prospecting time and your callback time and your follow-up time. A lot of realtors, the new people anyways, they'll get a listing and they'll stop prospecting. Actually, they stop everything. They'll have a buyer that says, want to buy a house. They start showing properties and they stop prospecting. They get really busy working with a buyer or a seller, or maybe even two in 1 week, but they stop prospecting. And it's called feast and famine. Can you see how my arm is moving up and down? This is how your career can be. I just want to make sure everyone can see this. And it goes like this. And I'm going as low and as high as I can. Because, I mean, emotional roller coaster or what? Could you imagine? Here's a quick story for you. Imagine being a realtor that gets a buyer on Monday. Start showing houses. And let's pretend they're not trained or not experienced, not trained especially. So they don't really know how to do it, but they're excited. They're licensed, they're not doing anything wrong. They go out and they show some properties. The buyers say they want to buy this house Tuesday night. They write the offer. Pretty exciting, yes? Okay, now they were busy on Monday, busy on Tuesday. They really had nothing else on their mind except this buyer, maybe this deal. This is a newer person. Then there's some conditions that need to be removed. Just a couple of days later, like Friday, the financing mortgage broker calls and says they're not approved, and the deal fell apart. Okay, they didn't do nothing else that week, and nothing else came to them, nothing. Okay, how devastating do you think that realtor feels on Friday? And that's all they did for the whole week. And they did most of it wrong without knowing it. They didn't get them pre-approved, they didn't, you know. And now here's another one. Took some of the training like you folks, and you know that if I have a buyer on Monday, I still better prospect Monday morning, Monday afternoon. I still better prospect Tuesday. And let's say you have the buyer, and you already know you need to qualify them. So let's say that happens. And you go and set up some showings for Tuesday night. But Tuesday morning you were on the phone doing prospecting and you booked a listing appointment for Wednesday night. Okay, maybe you got really good at it and booked a couple appointments. But let's say minimum, you got one listing appointment on for Wednesday night, and it sounds good, and you're doing some showings Tuesday night, and you had them pre-approved, you know, for a few days before. That's pretty good. I still think you should prospect on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, even though you got even more stuff happening. Friday comes, right? You got the listing Wednesday night. It went live on Thursday, and the other deal fell apart on Friday for financing. How do you feel losing one but still having a listing that's on the market? Not as bad as that other realtor at least, right? Is that right? And you might even have a couple other leads you follow up or talk to on Thursday and Friday that you might get the next week because you were prospecting every day. So please, gang, when you get a little bit busy, now, when you're new, you'll feel really busy with one client. When you talk to the veterans, they'll have about this much going on every week, and they don't even look busy. You know, different buyers, different sellers, different closings, different condition removal, different follow-up stuff, but about this much. Not this much, this much. Right? So when you see this, that's more busy than this, right?
Yes.
Not in real estate. The top producers are less busy with this than the new guy with this. Because they take care of all the little things, you with me? Right? That's so important. They don't waste time and energy, they don't have conversations long. I talked to somebody, and it was on the online course, I just graduated last week, but there was somebody I did a one-on-one with for their strikes, and they said, yeah, I talked to somebody they're thinking of selling and stuff like that, and then he started telling me all this stuff about the conversation, and I said, was that in person? They go, no, I was on the phone. I said, how long did you talk to him on the phone for? She said, about 40 minutes. I said, you didn't get an appointment, right? She goes, no. So it was nothing, like 40 minutes. If you call, every person you called, you had 40-minute conversation, that's a two-way conversation, you got nothing out of it, and you did that every day, how exhausted would you be?
Very.
Just imagine if you did 3 40-minute conversations. Like every word everything you do expends energy out of you. So you know we really need to be extremely efficient. Watch the little things, okay? So give me, I don't know if I mentioned to you, but when I say there's a power tool and it comes on the screen, it dances around, did I tell you to do something? Remember what it was?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, we just give it an ooh, okay? Go ahead. Ooh. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we've got a power tool here. We're going to talk about the prospecting track. We're going to teach it to you, but I want to get some stuff done before we have lunch. We'll have lunch about 1/4 maybe 20 after. And today it'll probably only be about a half hour-ish. Okay, so I hope you brought your lunch, I did. And like I said, if you have to go get something, you better go get it, get right back here, and just come in the room here and start eating, because I'll be teaching by the time you sit down and eat. But that's the amount of material we have. I think I warned you on that, didn't I?
Yes.
I said you're only going to get about 30 minutes tops. If I can give you more, I will, but the course is more important than giving us more downtime, I think. I think if you brought your lunch, 30 minutes is more than enough time to, you know.
Yeah.
So, prospecting track. So I'm going to give you the approach, and I'm going to give you a couple of steps to help you to segue into the fair trade item that you offer so that you can close, and you may have to close up to 3 times. But we want to close.
Cha-ching.
Thank you. I got one. There was 3 actually I said, so I was waiting for 3.
Cha-ching. Cha-ching.
All right, yeah. And I was just sitting there looking, and there's a few people looking back at me. And then all of a sudden she goes like this, she goes, cha-ching! Anyways, carry on, Dwayne. All right, so there's a prospecting track. I'm going to teach it first, then I'm going to show you how to do it, and we're going to role play it. You're going to pick a partner across the table, okay, across from each other. If there's an odd number, I'll fit in with somebody, okay? And then I'm going to emphasize again how important it is for you to commit to using it all the time by having it in front of you on your wall whenever you're doing your callback time. All the time. I'm going to just let you know that, you know, I guess if I was to say it, like my notes say this. So, if you had a choice between getting 1 lead out of 10 conversations or 1 lead out of 100, which would you pick? 1 out of 10, right? So if you knew all you had to do was reach out to 10 people every day between 10 and 11, and you always got an appointment, well, you would probably do it because it's only 10. But if you knew that the numbers game says you'd only get 1 out of 100, there's some days where you'd say, I'm not sitting down making 100 calls today, right? The ticket is the prospecting track, as I mentioned. That's this thing here that you said ooh about. Ooh. This thing here, if you follow it exact, and if they won't let you stay on track, you just let them go. Sorry, I can't help you. You know, I don't know if you knew how to say that though. It's tough for some realtors to say, I can't help you. I don't even want to use the word sorry. Sorry is used way too loosely in this country, in my opinion, or anywhere for that matter. Just sorry for everything, you know, sorry. It's like, no, say sorry if you really did something you shouldn't have done, in my opinion. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so, you know, I won't be able to help you. Have a good day. So can you say that to the person across? Just say, I won't be able to help you? Go ahead and say that. Have a good day. I won't be able to help you, or I don't work that way. So if you change, here's another way you can say, I don't work that way, so if you change your mind, call me back. Say that one now, okay?
If you change your mind, please call me back.
I don't work that way, but change your mind.
Yeah, I won't be doing it that way. You can say it any way you want, but it's still the same thing. I don't do it that way. I don't operate that way. I won't be doing it that way. So if you change your mind, call me back. So, you know, for the newer people, you're like, you're almost telling me to get rid of a whole bunch of people. Yeah, I am. I got to get you through all the no's and all the people that are going to take too much of your time, so that you come across this one that just listens to your instructions, follows your lead, and knows that you're the professional. That's what we have to do, okay? So we set the prospecting track, we did all this, and then we started this. So there's some boxes for you to fill in there, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so fill them in. And we're going to do a little role play in a minute here. Now, remember, if you don't want to be proactive for your business, then you should reconsider, first of all. But second thing is, you should still try to be proactive in case you have to be for your clients someday. And I'll give you an example. Imagine if you list someone's house. Let's pretend that you got a referral from a friend, and their friend wants you to list their house. You go on the appointment, you get the listing. It's kind of easy, let's say, okay? Okay, so it wasn't as hard as you thought, sort of thing. And the client said, but this is what happened. Like, you got the listing because you followed what I taught you, but before you got the listing, they said, we just want to look before we list, just because we're not comfortable not knowing what's out there. Okay, and what did I teach you in the free training event? We don't do that. We don't do that, okay? So let's pretend you did the buyer conversion that I taught you in the free event. And they said, okay, we'll list. And then you say to them, don't worry, we'll find you a place for sure. Because we'll look on MLS. And I said to you in the free training session, I asked you all, who's the best realtor in town?
Me.
Okay. And so if somebody is looking for a house, especially if you made them homeless, and they want to live in Happy Hills no matter what, and there's nothing on the market, what are you going to do about it?
Door knock.
Right, you're going to be proactive. You're not going to say, let's set you up on IDX and wait until we see if another realtor gets a listing. You won't do that, even though that sounds like a normal thing to do. It's not a good idea. You'll say to them, when we sell your house, if there's nothing on the market, I'll door knock if I have to. I'll pull title on properties. I will make phone calls. I'll send out a flyer. Don't worry, I will find you a home because I'm the best realtor in town. And if you don't believe you can do that, then you better refer them to who else is the best realtor in town?
Me.
Dick Shot.
Thank you.
Give it to her. I never had any problems personally. People would say, I want to look before, and I got to tell them all the ins and outs what I taught you a couple weeks ago. And they trust me, and it just seemed like the lineup. The times that I didn't line up the date, it was interesting. The clients had an alternative plan. I had one couple who sold their